Hi there. Good Monday morning. We are here for Money Mondays here at the Business of Apparel. And today we're talking about the holidays. This is a time of year where a lot of us feel like we need to spend a lot of money, whether it be on sweets or food or gifts for other people. And today I want to talk a little bit about how you can plan for this type of season and make sure that you come out of it debt free. Like you don't have a big credit card bill at the end of your holiday season. You're not hurting for money. And I'm going to harp on a subject that I've harped on a lot, I think, over the last year. I built a new course around business planning and making sure that you're watching your cash flow all the time. I do this in my personal life as well. So I am constantly watching my cash flow. And I have cash flow for all different kinds of things, right? Like I've got my business cash flow. So I run two businesses. I run Unmarked Street and the Business of Apparel. I've got a cash flow spreadsheet for both. What am I spending every single week, every single day, every single month? And then what's coming into the business? What am I making every single week, every single day, every single month with each business? So we kind of watch how the expenditure goes. The goal in my cash flow worksheets is to make sure that we never go in the red. We never see a negative number on our cash flow worksheet. So if we have a bill due, we better have money in our account to be able to pay it. And if we don't have the money in our account to be able to pay it, what are the hard decisions that I need to make either as the CEO of my company or as a head of my household to make sure that we're doing the right thing so that we're not going into massive amounts of debt? Now, of course, I do use credit cards and they do bridge gaps and they do help out. But the idea is to always have a zero balance on your credit card, right? Like we want to have a very low balance or a balance that's easier to pay. Ideally, we want to be paying off our credit card every single month. I know that doesn't happen all the time. And sometimes it's totally okay to carry a credit card balance if that's what's getting you through. But I think the question here is, does it make sense to max out your credit card or put so much on a credit card that you can't pay it off for the holidays? And so something that I have done over the last many years in my personal life, we've had a bills worksheet that I've done. I've shared a lot of the similar templates. I use them now in my businesses. If you're interested in getting your hands on all of those templates, we sell them in our $99 business planning course for the apparel industry. You can go over to thebusinessofapparel.com/shop and find it there. Under $100 to get a profit and loss worksheet, a cash flow worksheet, all the different tutorials on how to use them, plus a business plan template that you should probably be writing if you haven't had one. It's a pretty good deal. In cash flow, when it comes to my personal life, I do still use the exact same worksheet. And I have one for like vacations, like we want to go do some travel. And so what are we saving? What do we need to be putting aside every single month to start to get to the amount of money that we want to go on? Maybe we want to take 3 weeks off next year and go on a really I need time off. Like 3 weeks sounds glorious. So maybe we're going to save for that and we're going to figure out how to set aside enough money every single month. So what's the cash flow that I need for the next year to be able to plan for that, to be able to save for that, to be able to get to a point that when I'm spending that money, it's coming out of a savings that I've already built up. So I've got like a vacation one. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that we're moving into a new house soon. So we've got a moving one. I've got one about, what do we have saved for the down payment? What do we have saved for moving expenses? What do we have saved for any furniture upgrades that we want in the new house? But I also have one for just regular savings throughout the year. And one item that is on that cash flow spreadsheet is the holidays. So I do saving throughout the year, every single year, to make sure that when the holidays roll around and I'm getting ready to buy a big Thanksgiving feast and I'm getting ready to go Christmas shopping for my entire friends and family and all of our clients, that it's built in to my savings account. Because I don't want to go into a situation where I'm spending too much or I'm going above and beyond what I wanted. The other piece of this that is really, really important, and I think this is one of the hardest ones around the holidays, is sticking to that budget. And so when it comes to buying gifts for people, I've done this a few different ways. Number one, either I do like exactly what I said. I save kind of throughout the year. I have a budget that's planned for the end of the year. Maybe it's, $1,000 for every single person on my Christmas list. And I'm going to be buying for 10, anywhere from 8 to 15 people. Depends on the year, depends on what's going on, depends what kind of parties we've been invited to, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe I'm saving a certain amount for that year. When I go to then spend, for the holidays and I'm going shopping and I'm looking for gifts, I stick to it. I make sure that I'm very diligent about that, and not just because I want to make sure that my budget is buttoned up and it's working for me and it's working for us. You've put in the hours, you've mastered the fundamentals, and your brand is no longer a passion project. But somewhere along the way, the hustle that got you here started to feel like a trap. You're building a business, not just making clothes, and you're starting to wonder if you'll ever crack the code to consistent, profitable growth. What if I told you that industry's top brands aren't just working harder, they're working smarter, with a clear blueprint for everything from line planning to streamlining their supply chain? This is the insider knowledge that's typically kept behind closed doors, but now it's accessible to you. Introducing The Board, an annual membership designed to give you that strategic advantage. Led by a team with over 70 years of combined experience, we provide the honest, real talk mentorship you need to move from busy to truly successful. We'll show you how to focus on the small, consistent actions that lead to massive progress, helping you build a legacy without the burnout. It's time to stop second-guessing yourself and start building with purpose. Don't pay attention to the chaos. Pay attention to what actually matters. Join the board and unlock the proven systems that will transform your brand. Go to thebusinessofapparel.com to find the option that's right for you. I can't wait to see you in there. There's also an element, at least in my family, of fairness, right? Like when you're buying a gift for my daughter's son, my nephew, my daughter's son, my sister's son, my nephew, you want to make sure that I'm spending the same amount on him that I'm spending on my husband's brother's daughter, our niece, so that it doesn't feel like we're like favoring anybody. And sometimes families are complicated that way, where if you're not being super fair in the way that you're giving gifts or the way that you're spending your money, it can become a thing. And I'm in one of those families. And so for me, being able to set a budget and say, okay, I'm just going to spend, maybe this year I'm just spending $50 on every single niece and nephew, and whatever it is that they want, as long as it fits within that $50, that's what they're getting. And a lot of the times, sometimes one of my nephews, he loves to color. He's very artistic. And so sometimes he just wants like a coloring book and markers, and that doesn't cost $50. So he'll get like an Amazon gift card or a Target gift card or something like that for the balance, so that he could go buy whatever he wants then later throughout the year. So that's one way in which I do it, in which I kind of set a budget, make sure everything looks really fair across the board for all family members. And then I stick to it when I'm shopping, and I make sure that I'm kind of hitting that dollar amount. The other way that I've done it is, and this one's a little bit trickier. This one kind of requires you to be thinking about the holidays almost all year round. It also really requires you to kind of keep track of everything that you're doing. But I have had years where I've been in a very giving mood. And as I'm just out about in the world, or maybe I'm traveling or doing something like that, I start to see items that I think would be ideal as gifts for certain people. And so what I'll do is I'll pick those items up as I go. And so when I do that, I actually set aside a monthly budget amount. So maybe that monthly budget amount is $100. And I'm allowed to spend $100 every single month on gifts, and then kind of store them away and keep them, and then, give them during the holidays. That one's a little bit trickier. Like I said, I don't do that all the time. And as things have gotten busier and I've been traveling a little bit less, that one definitely has gotten harder. So I tend to do that former practice a little bit better. And so this is kind of a full year planning, right? It's just like when you want to save up for anything. Like, how do you start to save even just $1 a day? If you saved $1 a day for the first, half of the year, you'd have almost $200 saved. I mean, not quite, but you'd have almost $200 that you've saved $1 a day, that you can now use to send gifts to people or send cards to people. Maybe you don't have the money to do gifts, but you can write a letter, and all you got to do is buy some really nice paper. I've done that for many, many years. We actually write a Christmas letter to our friends and family, and we stick it in, a nice envelope, a Christmas themed envelope with Christmas paper. And I print it out on that. And sometimes when we were really tight on money, that was all that I could do. It was sending a really nice letter, maybe sending a picture of me and my husband. And that's what went out for Christmas. And so a lot of this also needs to be a conversation, I think, with the people around you. Like, I have a conversation with my sister every single year. Like, what are we planning on spending on families this year? Do you guys want to skip gifts this year for the adults? Maybe we're just buying gifts for the kids. Is there a budget for that? Is there a specific gift that you want me to look at for the boys so that I can think similarly for my nieces? There are a lot of different things that you need to do, but having those conversations, putting some savings aside, actually being mindful about it, I think that's the biggest thing. I notice so many people who go out and shop for the holidays, and everything that they find that looks like a great gift, they just buy. And while that can be very, very generous, and it can be an exciting day for whoever's receiving those gifts, it is probably not the result that you want at the end of the year when your credit card bill shows up. So just being a little bit mindful right now in the economy, as spending is starting to get a little bit tighter, setting aside that budget and really having a number in mind to make sure that you're not breaking the bank when it comes to the holidays can be a really smart way to approach it. And so that's how we have avoided any sort of holiday debt over the many years that we've been together as a couple. And it just ends up being a really smart way for us to keep our spending in check. If travel is a part of your holiday plans, make sure that you're budgeting for that. Sometimes when we travel for the holidays, that's our gift. Our gift is our presence of being here, and that might sound totally pompous and whatever, but like sometimes that's all we can afford, and it ends up actually being a lot more expensive to buy that plane ticket than it is to send a few gifts. So there are different things that you can have conversations about with your family. There are different ways in which you can approach doing gifts. People are very understanding. It's about being with family. It's about celebrating the holidays. It's about resting and relaxing at the end of a long year. It's about the quiet moments. It's about the Christmas music and the twinkling lights. It's not always about spending as much money as you possibly can. If you have any questions about saving or how you spend for the holidays and you'd love to let me know, I love to field comments here on YouTube, so you can put them below the video. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you thought this episode was helpful, please share it with someone else who might find it helpful. I will see you next week. Have a great week ahead.